last year during the playoffs, going into that game, I'm on camera, I'm on record saying that I thought that the only chance Dallas had was to try to win in a shootout because San Francisco was scoring over 30 a game. They were just rolling over people, and the only team that looked good and almost beat them was the Raiders, and it was like a shootout. It was in the 30s. I think it went to overtime. That was the only team since Brock Purdy was starting that gave them any trouble. And I said, well, that's the formula, right? And I didn't think Dallas could do it. I said I thought the 49ers would win. The game went completely different than what I expected. It was a complete defensive battle, which I think makes sense on paper because the defenses were so good. But I didn't expect the Dallas defense to actually stop Brock Purdy and the 49ers offense. And that's exactly what happened. They held them to 4 field goals and 1 touchdown, 19 points. The difference was Dak Prescott made some really, really bad passes. And actually, the stat line was, I went back and looked at the replays and the highlight. The stat line was better than the actual game. He threw some bad balls that were either drop picks or it was just really, really awful. He gave back the 49ers offense multiple possessions, and the defense bailed them out every single time. Oh, we give them good field position. We throw a pick in the red zone, whatever, and the defense would hold strong. They'd kick a field goal, and they were in that game all the way, really, until the last drive. They had 2.5 minutes left with the game, down 7. They went 3 and out, punted the ball, used all their timeouts, and still got the ball back because the defense held again at the very end of the game. So I'm not going to make the same mistake twice. I'm going to say this is going to be a defensive game. I'm concerned because against Arizona, the Dallas defense looked pretty poor. But against everyone else, I want to say that that's just a trap game. So, and also if you're looking at just this year, Dallas is scoring 31 a game. San Francisco is scoring 31 a game. But San Francisco is allowing 15 points a game, whereas Dallas is only allowing 10. San Francisco, I think, has played better competition. They both played the Cardinals, and Dallas lost to them. But I think that 49ers in general have had a tougher schedule. So we'll kind of call that all a wash. If the defenses play like they did in the playoffs and Dak doesn't make the mistakes, I think Dallas can absolutely win. But it's just hard to bet against the 49ers. So I'm going to have to say I'm going to have to take the 49ers in this one. But like I said, I think the formula is actually just Dak don't make the mistakes, and I think that they would have won that playoff game. What do you think, Jack?
Yeah. I think I'm glad you reminded me because I was gonna say that same thing, that both of these 2 rematches of the playoffs the past 2 years, with the 49ers winning, but also what I forgot and what I found so funny was forgetting how both of those games ended. The fact that the game 2 years ago ended with that QB draw to not being able to spike it, and then last time ended with having Zeke play center, and then just doing like a slant, doing like a 7-yard slant route, dude gets blown up instantly. If I remember correctly, I forget.
Yes, that's exactly what happened. CD Lamb, or no, Turpin, I believe. I think it was Turpin.
Yeah, just instantly. I didn't even really get like I thought I could get what they were going for, but it was not working out, and not just because they had Zeke at center. I don't know. That aside, I can almost not stop laughing. That sort of the 49ers have a pretty good record in recent history against the Cowboys, and for me that's one thing I'm thinking about in those 2 playoff games. And it's also and similarly, I feel like the Cowboys might be more likely to be mistake prone, Dak specifically, but also like you've talked about for a while, and specifically just a second ago about Dak. Like that they can fall for those trap games. They can get sloppy, a lot of penalties. Team has historically, in the past couple of years, been prone to that. And the fact that they gave up that game to the Cardinals is a sign of that. I think is a sign of that is that manifesting in another way, not just giving up a bunch of penalties, but also giving up a game to the Cardinals. So I think that sort of stuff, that's how I feel about the Cowboys. But the 49ers, I think there's 2 things here. For one, Brock Purdy has never lost a regular season game. I believe he's actually never lost a game he has not gotten hurt for the rest of the game in.
That's right.
He's never lost a game with an intact UCL in his arm. He has yet to lose a National Football League game with an intact UCL. So there's that aspect. I could say that he's having a pretty good season, which is important to highlight because that is what the concern would have been going into the season. Like, is he going to
Absolutely.
continue momentum, especially with even forgetting the injury? Even when you have that sort of Brady-esque, dare I say, like late round mystery relevant come in like that and win out the rest of the season, only lose the game you get hurt in against the team like in the NFC Championship, right, against the Super Bowl contender Eagles. It's can he live up to that? And like there have been some not, I think he had one or two not as good games, but generally he has lived up to that, and that I think is very interesting, right? That is something to watch the rest of the season. Also, Christian McCaffrey, I believe, is sixth in MVP voting. And by voting, I mean odds. I wonder what it would be. If it was not a quarterback only award. I'm sure if I check Offensive Player of the Year odds, I'm sure he's first in that.
Mm-hmm.
Because he had something like 600 yards from scrimmage in the first 4 games. Only like two other players have done it, and one of them's Joe Montana. Like it's one of those sort of stats. One of them is Deion Sanders, not Deion Sanders, but like that sort of stat. He's got one of those two players since the NFL AFL merger. He's there's that sort of, he's playing at a very high level, which and you could go on about the rest of that, but there's so much talent on that team. It's hard not to just like just really be on the hype train for that. Which I was last season, and I'm going to continue being on that for the rest of the season, most likely.
It could
So
be.
yes, the Cowboys look good, but
Yeah, I think it's a good idea because, I don't know, I could see this 49ers team being 10-0, 11-0, 12-0, so, but I will
it could
say,
be like the Eagles watch last season.
yeah, talking
Oof.
about the the play calls at the end of the games in the playoffs, obviously, it seems like it's getting worse, frankly. If you look at where they were on the field and the actual thought process, I'd say it's getting worse, but I will say that offensively, we don't have Kellen Moore. We're working with Mike McCarthy calling the plays, and truthfully,
Hmm.
it's a more vanilla offense, and I think that might
Yeah.
be better for
It might be.
Dak.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think so. We're only 4 weeks into it, and truthfully, I'm not like a huge Mike McCarthy guy, but actually, I'm starting to come around because they have only had good seasons with Mike McCarthy, and so I can kind of I have an appreciation for
Yeah.
that they're
Yeah.
kind of always in it. And once again, they look good again this year. But maybe that the vanilla offense, hey, if the defense is going to win this game for us, let's just not turn the ball over. Let's not do anything crazy. And maybe with Mike McCarthy calling the plays, well, it's more likely for that to happen. But
Makes sense. Yeah, that makes sense.
we'll see. But hopefully, it's a great game. And Dallas wins. That's all I got to say about that. But